The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation hosted its goalkeepers event on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. The director of the foundation's China office spoke with CGTN's Karina about Beijing's efforts to eliminate poverty.
China, since I think the last 30 years by UNDP report, has already lifted 750 million people out of poverty, right? So that's contributing to 76% of the world's total. So I think that's really, on the one hand, as a tail end of a large, a long-term effort. On the other hand, I think there will be continued effort even posted, because there's no sort of a magical moment where suddenly things get wiped out. And then I think there's still a lot of challenges remain in terms of continue keeping these people out of poverty, and then also continue lifting their living standards as well.
How is the best way to do that with the remaining people living in extreme poverty, do you think? Yeah. Which strategy works best?
Right. I think right now the way China deals with it is really through this concept called precision poverty reduction, meaning really targeting these areas where there are specific difficulties and in specific circumstances. And then I think that's one. The other is really through innovation as well. So how do you, because most of the remaining problems, they are remaining poor because of very complex and challenging situations, right? So that means you will need to take, sometimes, not so ordinary approach in thinking about them as well. So I think that's part of what we're trying to support as well, like in terms of technology and new policy frameworks for those remaining areas.
During the goalkeepers event, a lot of the conversation has been about sub-Saharan Africa, and in the future, the majority of people living in extreme poverty will be living in sub-Saharan Africa. What do you think Africa can learn from China when it comes to trying to tackle that problem?
We do believe that over the last 40 years, what China has accomplished has certain lessons that can be leveraged and learned by other regions and areas in the world as well. So one of the, I think there are a few levels. One is really around the policy level, right? So how do you have a kind of a strategic plan when you think about it? So we're trying to support China to almost synthesize what are the lessons China has had over the last few decades themselves, and see what are some of the policy frameworks can be learned and implemented in other countries. Of course, considering you have to consider local context. The other area is really specific areas, for example, agriculture development, right? So agriculture development really has been a major driver for China's own effort, moving out of poverty. So like, how do you learn from that in terms of specific technology or agriculture-related policies?